I haven't recorded a vlog while riding in a very, very long time, probably years. But I kind of want to get back into it a little bit. One of my co-workers bought his first bike. It's a Suzuki Boulevard C50. So that kind of inspired me to take up some recording. You know, as a new rider, you always like to see yourself riding and like people to kind of show off your new bike and stuff. It's got a very loud aftermarket exhaust on it. You know, but as he was talking about getting a new bike, I encouraged him to take a rider safety course before he bought the bike. And well, actually he took the course after he bought the bike, but he didn't ride the bike until after the course and after he got his license and safety gear. He bought the bike in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is about 40 miles from here. So I went with him. I test rode the bike, and I rode it back for him, you know, so he wouldn't obviously ride it without training and safety gear. So he did the right thing. And also I lent them David Hoff's book, Proficient Motorcycling. You know, so he read that book before taking the course, which is also a good idea, because the course you know, almost seems to be based on the book. It covers a lot of the same things, and the book really does a good job of scaring you into wisdom, you know, by initially talking about a lot of accident statistics and the dangers of motorcycling. You know, he kind of wanted me to take the lead, but the point is to record him, so that doesn't make sense. He's being a little bit more aggressive in the wet turns than I am, but maybe it's because it's you know, a cruiser just feels more stable at low speeds because of the lower center of gravity, I think, around the city, you know, compared to a sportier bike like the VFR. So yeah, it's been raining very heavily today. It's going to be raining all week. Temperatures are dropping down into the 70s and 60s. For this time of year, that's pretty unusual. It's usually consistently warmer here by now. I bought an iPhone 4S recently. It's on Verizon, so it's not a 4G phone. But one of the reasons I bought it is that it has an excellent video and photo taking capability, and you know, based on the reviews, and in reality it does. And I was actually hoping that it would fit in my helmet for vlogging, but I'm finding that, or I found that it's actually taller than the Kodak V705. So I'm not going to be able to record high-def video with my iPhone as I had hoped. I think I made the mistake of showing my coworker here. I was showing him a video before we left from work, showing you know, two guys getting their knee down. One is a passenger, one's the driver of the motorcycle, getting their knee down while the pavement is wet. You know, so I was kind of telling them that motorcycles can be pretty stable even in the wets with the right tires and you know, I guess no oil being present. If it's just water and a fairly consistent asphalt surface, you know, the gyroscopic effect of the wheels and the engine will still keep the motorcycle pretty stable, and there's enough traction to keep it upright. But you know, obviously it's a lot. It is a lot less safe. If you look at MotoGP races, you know, that take place in the rain, or motorcycle races in the rain, you know, they get amazing lean angles, but you do see some falls and accidents that would not have occurred had it been nice and dry. But speaking of loud exhausts, my Scion XA, I was pulled over by a police officer for speeding slightly in a going 40 something in a 30, and he also commented on the exhaust of the XA, you know, saying that it wasn't the stock exhaust and it wasn't legal, and that it could be a nuisance. And it's not really I mean, it is loud, but it's not, I don't think it's overly loud. You know, I've heard much worse. Almost any motorcycle is louder. It's not like they just installed an open pipe on it. It's got a Borla muffler, and then there's a MagnaFlow resonator further forward that reduces the noise further. But you know, I started thinking about it, and on a vehicle like the XA, it is kind of strange to have done any exhaust work on it. I mean, it has a full catback exhaust and a 4-into-1 wrapped headers, and you know, the previous owner claims he did it for you know, improved responsiveness, that he liked responsive vehicles. And but the XA, you know, barely has over 100 horsepower, so I mean, I doubt putting a big fat exhaust system on it and doing anything to the headers really improves much of anything. You know, it could actually reduce horsepower at some RPMs, I don't know, or torque at some RPMs. But so I purchased an exhaust muffler. It's basically a reduction tip that you insert into the large diameter Borla muffler, and I'm gonna play with you know, some iPhone based dyno measurements before and after the muffler, just to show that it really doesn't do anything as far as reducing horsepower. And I'm also going to take some sound measurements, you know, put a little report together showing the reduction with and without the exhaust muffler, and trying to see what frequencies get reduced and what the overall sound reduction level is. And also the muffler that I purchased has a slotted wheel in it that you can rotate to increase or decrease the flow. Let me show you guys this bike from the side. It's a very nicely styled cruiser, I think. You know, it looks much more expensive than it is. It's kind of a starter cruiser, but I think it's an 800cc cruiser. But it's got surprisingly good torque. you know, riding it back from Las Cruces, you can take off with minimal throttle inputs. One thing that where it falls really short though is on the ground clearance. The first turn, almost the first turn I took after you know, leaving the residential zone, where we bought the bike, I ended up you know, scraping the floorboard, basically. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Those flat footrests that cruisers have. Yeah, so I mean, I reached the limit of its ground clearance very quickly, just because I'm used to you know, sportier bikes, or, you know, like the VFR and the Ninja 500 that I had before. They all have much greater clearance when leaning. Man, I'm fogging up here. I didn't put the anti-fog on the inside of so my strap is falling out. I didn't put the anti-fog on the inside of the visor. I put Rain-X on the outside. And since I'm babbling a lot, you know, talking on and on, I'm fogging up the inside a little bit. Hopefully cracking it open will keep the image somewhat tolerable until I start moving again. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the exhaust silencer muffler. And then it's a 4.5 inch exhaust, and it was very difficult to find an exhaust muffler for 4.5 inches. They have a lot of them for 4 inches and 4.25 inches. So I ended up buying one that's for 4.25 inches, and then 4.25 inches, and, you know, figuring I could put some kind of sleeve around it to adapt it to my 4.5 inch. And then it comes in and it's actually not even 4.25 inch, it's 4 1/8. So it significantly smaller than I thought. So, you know, rather than just putting a sleeve on it, I actually bought a couple of feet of 1/8 inch copper tubing. So between the 4 1/8 and then the 2/8 that I will add in the diameter when I wrap the tubing around the exhaust muffler, it should be a pretty decent fit. Another bit of a difficulty with installing it is that the exhaust is a stainless steel exhaust, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to drill stainless steel. It's a very hard material compared to mild steel or aluminum, or, you know, some other common materials found in cars. So stainless steel is a pain in the ass to drill into. Luckily, it's a fairly thin wall. It's just the exhaust tip, so it's not like I'm drilling into a solid piece of stainless steel. It's just that tip end. But we'll see how that goes. Yeah, so you have to drill into that to screw the muffler onto the side. I'll show you guys what it looks like in another video. It's kind of windy today too. It's not just rainy and wet. You know, this VFR compared to the white one I used to have, it just seems to give me much poorer fuel economy. My route is very different than the route I would ride every day when I had the white VFR. So could be that. Also the fact that I'm riding with my rear luggage all the time, so the fuel economy you know, could be affected by the poor aerodynamics of having my rear luggage mounted all the time. So I don't know. And I'm also wondering if maybe the spark plugs or some other element of the engine is somewhat out of tune. But I'll have to see on a longer trip. But again, I even if I go on a longer trip, I'll be riding with my rear luggage.